Ladies and gentlemen, in life, God has a plan for each one of us, a purpose that is greater than anything we could ever imagine. He knows what is best for us and desires to lead us into a future filled with peace, joy, and fulfillment. Yet sometimes we find ourselves in relationships that don't seem to align with this divine plan. These relationships can cause confusion, inner turmoil, and a disconnect from the purpose we are meant to fulfill. But the good news is this: God loves us enough to guide us away from what isn't right for us. When you are in a relationship that is not meant to be, there are signs, clear signs that God will show you. These signs are not meant to harm you, but to protect you and help you align your life with His perfect will. First, consider the disconnection from your purpose. If you find that a relationship is pulling you away from your God-given purpose, it is a clear indication that God may not want you with this person. Relationships are meant to enhance your destiny, not distract you from it. If instead of growing into the person God created you to be, you feel yourself moving farther from your divine calling, then this relationship may be leading you down a path of confusion and delay. Second, listen to the unrest within your spirit. When there is a lack of peace in your heart, it's often because God is speaking to you. Constant inner conflict, feeling uneasy or unsure, is a sign that something isn't right. God speaks to us in the stillness of our hearts, and when you are in the right relationship, peace will prevail even in difficult times. But if your spirit is restless, if every encounter brings more stress than serenity, it is a sign that God may be gently leading you to walk away. Third, recognize that consistent disrespect or devaluation in the relationship. We are all worthy of love, honor, and respect. If you are in a relationship where you feel less than, where your value is undermined or ignored, this is not a relationship ordained by God. Relationships built on disrespect will never bring the peace and fulfillment God intends for you. True love is built on mutual respect and admiration. And if you are not receiving this, it's time to reevaluate your connection. Fourth, examine the balance of spiritual growth in your relationship. Relationships should help you grow in your faith and spiritual walk, not hinder it. If one partner is advancing in their relationship with God while the other remains stagnant or even regresses, it is a sign that the relationship may not be in alignment with God's plan. Spiritual growth should be a shared journey, and if the relationship causes you to stagnate or pull away from God, it's an indication that God may not want you with this person. Lastly, pay attention to the unanswered prayers and obstacles you face when seeking God's direction in the relationship. When God is trying to steer you away from a connection, He will make the path difficult. You may find that your prayers for guidance go unanswered, or that every effort you make toward the relationship seems to face obstacles. These are not coincidences, they are signs that God is redirecting you. Remember, God's protection is greater than our desires, and sometimes He uses challenges to keep us from harm. God loves you too much to let you settle for anything less than His best. He desires for you to be in a relationship that brings you closer to your divine purpose, that honors your worth, and that helps you grow spiritually. If you are experiencing any of these signs, trust in His wisdom and guidance. Step forward in faith, knowing that when God closes one door, He is opening another one that is aligned with your destiny, one that will lead you to a life of peace, fulfillment, and the abundant love He has planned for you. Don't be afraid to let go of what isn't meant to be. Trust that God is guiding you toward what is. And when you stand firm in His plan, you will find the joy and peace you were created to experience. When you are walking a path that is not aligned with your purpose, you begin to feel a subtle yet undeniable disconnect. It's as if something inside of you is telling you that you are not where you are supposed to be. This feeling of disconnection is not just a fleeting emotion, it is a divine signal that your current situation is pulling you away from the reason you were created. Your purpose is more than just a set of goals or aspirations. It is the very essence of who you are, the reason for your existence. When you are aligned with your purpose, there is a deep sense of fulfillment that comes from the work you do, the relationships you nurture, and the way you live your life. Everything flows in harmony, and you feel energized by the work of your hands. But when you begin to drift away from that purpose, everything changes. This disconnection often shows up in ways that are hard to ignore. You may feel a constant sense of dissatisfaction, like something is missing even when everything around you appears fine. You might find yourself asking, is this it? As if there is a deeper calling, a higher reason for your life that you are not fulfilling. The passion you once had for your goals starts to fade, and what once brought you joy now feels like a burden. This is the disconnection from your purpose. When you are in a relationship that does not support your purpose, the impact can be profound. Instead of encouraging you to become the person you are meant to be, the relationship holds you back, pulls you in directions that lead you further from your divine calling. You find yourself wasting time on things that do not serve your greater good, and your energy is drained on pursuits that leave you empty rather than fulfilled. Relationships that are not aligned with your purpose often create distractions, pulling you away from your dreams, your goals, and your growth. But hear this: God does not want you to be in relationships, situations, or environments that keep you from fulfilling your destiny. He has designed you with a specific purpose, and that purpose is the key to your true fulfillment. The disconnection you feel is not random. It is a sign. It is a call to realign yourself with the mission that was set before you, to recognize that there is a bigger plan for your life than the one you may be living right now. There are moments in life when we get sidetracked, when we begin to follow paths that seem to offer comfort or immediate satisfaction, but in doing so, we lose sight of our higher calling. These distractions can come in the form of relationships that are not meant to last, jobs that are not aligned with your gifting, or even habits and choices that pull you away from the deeper, more meaningful things in life. But every time we make a decision that pulls us away from our true purpose, we feel the disconnect. And while this feeling may be uncomfortable, it is a gift. It is a reminder that you are made for more. Your purpose is not something that can be compromised or diluted. It is a divine imprint, a mark on your soul that cannot be erased. It is the reason you wake up each day with energy, excitement, and an eagerness to fulfill your calling. When you feel disconnected, it is an invitation to stop, reflect, and course correct. It is not a time to settle for mediocrity or to accept relationships or situations that do not honor who you are. It is a time to realign, to return to what you were truly created for. God will never allow you to feel at peace with a path that is not aligned with your purpose. That unrest, that dissatisfaction is meant to guide you back to the place where you are supposed to be. It is an invitation to let go of what is holding you back, to walk away from what no longer serves you, and to step into the fullness of what God has called you to do. It is a call to trust His guidance, to believe that He knows what is best for you, and to trust that the path He has for you is far greater than anything you could have imagined on your own. When you align yourself with your purpose, everything in your life will begin to fall into place. You will find the strength to let go of what isn't serving you, and you will embrace what is. The relationships, opportunities, and blessings that align with your purpose will flow into your life effortlessly, and you will experience a sense of fulfillment that you never thought possible. So if you are feeling disconnected, understand that it is not a punishment, it is a blessing. It is God's way of telling you that you are destined for something greater. It is time to realign, to reconnect with your true purpose, and to walk the path that was designed for you from the very beginning. Trust that as you do, you will find the peace, the joy, and the fulfillment that can only come from living a life aligned with your divine calling. One of the most profound ways that God speaks to us is through the peace or lack thereof in our hearts. Peace is not just the absence of turmoil, but the presence of a deep sense of alignment with God's will for our lives. It is the calm assurance that no matter what the external circumstances may be, our inner world is settled, grounded, and secure in the knowledge that we are following the path God has designed for us. When you find yourself in a relationship that causes constant inner conflict, that is a sign that something is amiss. The peace that God desires for you is replaced by an unrest, a sense of discomfort, and a tugging at your spirit. This inner turmoil may not always be loud, but it is persistent. It feels like a whisper from within, urging you to stop, to pause, to take a step back and reconsider. It may be difficult to explain or understand, but deep down, you know something isn't right. This is God's way of getting your attention, of calling you to reassess your choices and realign your heart with His will. The lack of peace is not merely a minor inconvenience, it is a spiritual red flag. Peace is a gift from God. It is a fruit of the Holy Spirit that is meant to guide us, to lead us toward what is good and right for us. When peace begins to fade, when you feel like something is off but can't quite put your finger on it, that is when you must stop and listen to the still, small voice within. Too often we ignore this inner conflict, dismissing it as mere nerves or anxiety. But that discomfort is a message, a divine invitation to pause and seek clarity. This inner conflict may manifest in different ways. Perhaps you feel torn between what your heart desires and what you know is right. You may be pulled in two directions, one leading toward the comfort of familiarity and the other toward the uncertainty of change. But it is in this very space of discomfort that God is working. He is calling you to trust His guidance, to let go of the things that are not aligned with His will, and to step into the fullness of His purpose for your life. When the lack of peace becomes overwhelming, it is an invitation to pray, to seek God with all your heart. Prayer in these moments is not about asking God to change the situation or to make things easier. It is about asking for the strength to discern His voice, the courage to face the truth, and the wisdom to act in faith. It is about asking God to lead you into a place of peace where your heart can be at rest, knowing that you are walking in His perfect will. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the clearest signs that God may not want you in a particular relationship is when you consistently experience disrespect or devaluation. It is impossible to underestimate the importance of being in a relationship where you are valued, honored, and treated with the dignity that you deserve. We were all created with inherent worth, each of us uniquely designed to fulfill a purpose in this world. And in every relationship, that worth should be recognized and respected. If you find yourself in a relationship where you are constantly belittled, ignored, or made to feel less than you are, this is not just a mere inconvenience. It is a red flag that this relationship is not aligned with God's will for your life. It is a sign that this person may not see your value, and more importantly, they may not recognize the greatness that lies within you. And when someone consistently fails to see your worth, it becomes a deep wound that affects your spirit, your confidence, and your peace. Disrespect in a relationship is not limited to overt insults or harsh words. It can manifest in subtle ways: dismissal of your ideas, ignoring your feelings, or taking your presence for granted. It can show up in how they speak to you, how they treat you in front of others, or how they undermine your contributions as if you are not enough. These small, repeated actions accumulate over time and create an environment where your spirit becomes weary. You begin to question your own value, your own worth, and your ability to make a difference. When you allow yourself to stay in a relationship where you are disrespected, you are essentially telling yourself that you don't deserve better. You are telling God that you are not worthy of love that is kind, love that builds you up, and love that helps you grow into the fullness of who you were created to be. But God did not create you for that. He created you to be loved, to be valued, to be respected. He created you to experience the type of relationships that lift you, that challenge you in healthy ways, and that help you become the best version of yourself. In a relationship where disrespect is prevalent, your growth is stunted. You cannot flourish if you are constantly being trampled upon. You cannot walk in the fullness of your potential if you are being treated like you are invisible or insignificant. But when you step out of that environment, when you refuse to settle for anything less than God's best, that is when you make room for true love to enter your life, love that affirms who you are and helps you shine in your greatness. God never intended for you to live in a state of constant devaluation. He wants you to walk confidently in His love, knowing that you are a masterpiece, fearfully and wonderfully made. Every part of you is valuable, and every part of you deserves to be treated with respect. So when you experience disrespect, whether from words, actions, or attitudes, recognize it for what it is, a sign that this relationship is not aligned with God's plan for your life. Remember, the foundation of any healthy relationship is respect. Without it, trust cannot be built, love cannot flourish, and true connection cannot be achieved. You were created to experience relationships where respect is a natural part of the bond. And if you find yourself in a relationship that diminishes your worth, it is time to step away and trust that God has something better for you. When you honor yourself and recognize your own value, you send a powerful message to the world around you. You show others how you deserve to be treated, and you give them no choice but to honor that as well. When you embrace the truth of who you are in God, you will never allow anyone to treat you with anything less than the love, respect, and admiration that you deserve. And in doing so, you will create space for the relationships that God has prepared for you, relationships that reflect His love, His respect, and His goodness. There is a powerful truth we must understand when it comes to relationships. The growth of your spirit, your connection to God, and your faith should never be compromised. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendships, are meant to support and encourage your spiritual development. Yet sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we feel stagnant or even pulled away from the very thing that strengthens us, our relationship with God. If you are in a relationship where one person is growing spiritually while the other is stagnant, disengaged, or worse, pulling you away from your faith, this imbalance is a serious red flag. God has designed relationships to be a place of mutual growth, where both partners are able to sharpen each other, build one another up, and strengthen their relationship with God together. Relationships at their core are meant to help you both move closer to the Creator, not take you further away. When one partner is committed to spiritual growth, prayer, and seeking God's wisdom, while the other is indifferent or even resistant to these things, it becomes an obstacle to the partnership. It's like trying to walk forward while one person is anchored in place, holding you back. The tension between your growth and the stagnation of your partner will inevitably create frustration, confusion, and even division in your hearts. And while no one is perfect and no one's faith journey looks the same, there must be an alignment of spirit for true harmony to exist in a relationship. This imbalance doesn't just affect your spiritual life, it affects every area of your life. When your faith is not being nurtured in a relationship, it can bleed into your mindset, your emotions, and your decision making. You'll begin to question your purpose, your goals, and the direction of your life. You may find yourself drifting away from your true calling or even doubting your relationship with God because the partnership you're in isn't supporting your faith. God never intends for you to sacrifice your spiritual life for the sake of a relationship. His purpose for you is greater than any earthly connection. And if a relationship is taking you away from Him, then it is a relationship that needs to be examined. You must ask yourself, is this relationship helping me grow spiritually? Is it encouraging me to seek God more fervently, to become more like Him, and to serve Him with a greater passion? Or is it causing me to compromise my values, to make decisions that go against the teachings of my faith, or to drift further away from my calling? If you are feeling more distant from God in a relationship, more confused about your spiritual path, or unable to pray or connect with Him like you used to, this imbalance is a sign that the relationship may not be in alignment with God's plan for your life. God's intention for relationships is not for you to bear the weight of someone else's spiritual growth. You can encourage, uplift, and even pray for your partner, but each individual is responsible for their own spiritual growth. If your relationship is causing you to compromise your faith, or if the imbalance in spiritual growth is so great that it is holding you back, then it may be time to reevaluate, trusting God's plan for your life, for He has not called you to be stuck in a relationship that hinders your growth. True spiritual growth in a relationship should propel you toward God's purposes, not away from them. It should strengthen your faith, deepen your connection with Him, and encourage both of you to grow into the people you were always meant to be. If you are in a relationship that is not facilitating your spiritual growth, know that God will not leave you in that place. He will guide you, protect you, and help you realign with His will. Don't settle for a relationship that holds you back. Trust that God's plan for you involves growth in Him, growth in purpose, and growth in love. There are moments in life when you find yourself praying with all your heart, asking God for guidance, for clarity, for a sense of direction. You pour your soul into these prayers, trusting that He hears you, believing that your desires align with His will. But despite your earnest pleas, despite your unwavering faith, it seems as though your prayers are met with silence. And along with that silence comes an unexplainable series of obstacles, barriers that seem to block every step you try to take. It is in these moments that doubt may creep in, and you may wonder why, despite your persistence and sincerity, God isn't answering. But let me tell you, this silence does not mean absence, and obstacles do not mean defeat. When God closes a door, He does so for a reason. Sometimes the silence you experience in your prayers is not because God is absent, but because He is protecting you from what you cannot yet see. There are times in life when what we ask for is not what we need, and what we desire is not what will bring us closer to the purpose He has for us. The unanswered prayers are not a sign of God's neglect, but a reminder that His wisdom surpasses our understanding. He knows what is best for us, even when we cannot see it in the moment. The obstacles that seem to arise at every turn are not punishments, but divine redirections. Each barrier, each challenge is a way of leading you away from what could harm you and towards something greater. God will not let you settle for anything less than is best for your life. The roadblocks you face are not meant to break you, they are meant to build you. They refine your character, they strengthen your resolve, and they prepare you for the destiny that God has already ordained for you. Obstacles too should be seen not as signs of rejection, but as invitations to move in a different direction. Perhaps you're being called to grow in areas you hadn't considered, to stretch in ways you didn't anticipate. Each time you face a challenge, it is an opportunity to tap into a deeper strength, a deeper faith, and a deeper trust in God's timing. Understand that God is not in the business of keeping you from your destiny. He is in the business of guiding you through the best path, and sometimes that path requires obstacles to help you grow stronger and more resilient. The unanswered prayers, the obstacles that you face, these are not signs of abandonment, but signs of protection. They are the way God keeps you on the path of your true purpose. So when you find yourself in these seasons, remember that God's delays are not His denials. Trust that His timing is perfect. Trust that every barrier, every closed door, and every moment of silence is part of His perfect plan for your life. He is guiding you towards something far greater than what you could ever ask for or imagine. In those moments of unanswered prayers and overwhelming obstacles, remember that God's silence is not a sign of His absence, but a demonstration of His wisdom. He is working behind the scenes, guiding you, protecting you, and preparing you for what lies ahead. Every prayer you've sent up, every challenge you face is shaping you for the purpose He has uniquely designed for your life. Trust that the roadblocks you encounter are not setbacks, they are opportunities for growth. Every step you take in faith, even when it feels like you're walking through the unknown, is bringing you closer to the incredible destiny God has for you. His plans for your life are bigger and better than anything you could ever ask or imagine. So when the prayers seem unanswered, when obstacles block your way, stand firm in faith. Keep moving forward, knowing that God is at work even when you can't see it. Trust in His perfect timing, His unshakable love, and His infinite wisdom. The road may not always be easy, but rest assured it is always leading you exactly where you need to go. Keep your heart open, your faith strong, and your eyes fixed on the promise that in the end, God will bring you into the fullness of His purpose for your life.